Hello. It has been way too long. And let me just start by saying I am truly sorry for the break that I ended up taking online. I know that I don't owe anybody any sort of explanation, but I thought I kind of did because I've sort of been out of the loop for a while. So I am here now asking you for your forgiveness that I don't really need, but I feel like I need it. What? So I know that there's been other authors that have kind of taken breaks due to burnout or life changes, and all of that is so normal for authors. Sometimes we creative folk just literally can't anymore and just have to disappear. And then we come back, and I know that it sucks, especially when you write a series and you put out a book and you leave it on a cliffhanger and people are like, whoa, Kale, when is book 2 coming out? Because WTF. And honestly, those are all very valid remarks. So I'm here just kind of talking about where I've been, what I've been up to, what sort of circumstances really led to this, and some sneak peeks for what's coming up. In September 2021, I published the Magi Menagerie. That is the first in my series. It was just a really big passion project, but it was a project that I truly believed needed to be out into the world. I was just really proud of. It brought me out of depression. It sparked that love of creativity again, and that was just such a welcome thing at that point in my life. That was 3 years ago. It is now 2024. So what happened for 3 years? 2022. I lovingly refer to that year as let's shake it up, because I certainly did that. I switched jobs in 2022. So I had left my previous position as a marketing manager for a Midwest company that specialized in manufacturing and distributing dog grooming products to agency life again. But anytime you move to a new job, you have to relearn the job, what's expected of you, what the policies and procedures are. There's just a whole learning curve that comes into play with job hopping. And I thought that it was going to be a really good option for me because it opened a world of opportunity with my career, but it was a fully remote position. So that essentially meant that I didn't have to stay in South Dakota where I currently lived at that point. I could live anywhere. And that is also the year I decided I'm going to leave these winters behind forever and move to Florida. So I spent a big majority of 2022 figuring out the logistics of what that looked like. Where was I going to live? I knew I wanted to live in Central Florida, but, where in Central Florida? Finding an apartment, kind of figuring out my budget, all of that. And then I ended up moving in December 2022. Getting a new job, moving later that year, that takes a lot out of a person. Especially when it's a cross-country move. It's a very big decision, 2 very big life decisions in a relatively short span of time. So, of course, it's going to be a little bit scary. That's why 2023 was really adjusting to the new normal. I was adjusting to life in Florida. For those of you who might have been following my creative journey for years, you'll know that I did live in Florida actually back in 2010. So moving essentially 13 years later was simultaneously cool, but also a learning curve. But then as the year went on, I started opening my eyes to issues that were a little bit closer to home, AKA closer to myself. And my health was in very bad condition. I was pre-diabetic. I was diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. I had a knee injury where it was very difficult for me to walk for a while. I was severely overweight. I essentially was told that if I did not change my lifestyle, that my risk of stroke and heart attack were extremely high, and I needed to take charge of my health. So I did, and I ended up going on Mounjaro, which is a GLP-1 drug, very similar to Ozempic. I know there's discourse out there about that, but I truly needed it for health situations and being pre-diabetic and just on that line of, if you do not change, things are going to get bad. So I basically was like, I need to change fast. So that was my rationale for being on it. And I am totally open with talking about that sort of thing. So if you've ever wanted to learn more about Mounjaro or just like how these things work, what my experience was with it, I am 100% open to making a video about that. It kind of deviates from my author content, but just know that it is something that I am passionate about and would love to talk about it too, in the case that you would want to hear about it. So it changed my life for the better. I ended up losing 80 pounds. I reversed my pre-diabetes numbers. My, a lot of my tests came back with a big thumbs up. I also was starting to get fatty liver disease, and that was reversed with taking that. So that just got me back on track. 2024 was the year where I'm finding my way back, essentially. I am finally on track with my health, and I'm starting to get on track with creative projects, but baby steps. And I say that because it's so hard as a creative, being out of the creative realm for so long. And then now that you're starting to kind of walk back in it, it can be kind of a shock. And it truly was a little bit for me. It can also spin you into depression. And I do struggle with depression. Thankfully, I do have, medication, and I've gone through therapy, and there's just a lot of things that I have gone through to kind of stave that off. But I just always feel like I'm right on the edge of another depressive episode. So that's another thing. Like, I kind of use 2024 as a way to address my stress, address my burnout, address my ever impending depression that kept wanting to creep in. And I'm like, dude, we cannot coexist. I feel like I've made incredible strides mentally, physically, professionally. And now that I'm starting to get my footing again, now I'm feeling like I can step back into creative projects. But while it's been a long journey, I just want to let you know that no two people's journey is the same. Your journey is different from my journey. And I know that, like I mentioned before, it's frustrating when you have a favorite author that hasn't put out a follow-up to their book in 3 years. It's frustrating and difficult in so many ways, especially for those of us who are indie authors who do not have the support of a traditional publishing company. We do not have a team of people behind us. Yes, I have in my past, especially for the Magi Menagerie, I did hire people to help me, but all on a freelance basis. So I don't have a team of people essentially helping me along the way. It makes it very hard, especially when your finances are still in limbo from the first time you put out a book. I think there's a little bit of an unspoken thing with authors when they do invest a lot in their books and it doesn't get the traction that they want it to. It's just hard when you want to put out the second book and you're like, is it even worth it? Are people even going to care? I don't want to throw myself back into a deeper debt situation. All that being said, I am still going to release book 2. I have actually started writing it, but of course last year was when I started writing it and I did not write very much. I basically just said, I need to just not do this right now because my mind is not in it. My heart is not in it. And I think that translates very well to the page. And I don't want that to be the case. So I am going to get back into writing. That is the biggest thing. I think my baby step right now is getting this video content made because it gets me into that creative mindset. So I'm going to be creating a lot of these videos. I'm going to be talking about how you publish a book, how you market a book, any sort of thing that kind of plays into the whole creative job realm. I'm going to be addressing those in video. So if you have any suggestions for what you want to see, what you want me to talk about, 100% on board with that. I do have some content planned, including a video where I break down what my expenses were for just putting out a book in a independent fashion. I think that's going to be really eye-opening because a lot of times people don't understand the costs involved with creating a book and putting it out into the world. I am going to be talking about a lot of those things. And again, if you have any suggestions, definitely would love to hear them. I'm also planning some content where I'm like going back and reading my book because I might have forgotten some things. Okay, I laugh, but like I actually have. I'm like, wait, who are my characters? No, I'm just kidding. I remember my characters, but I just think it'll be funny kind of reading it in real time and like just having almost like a commentary on what I'm reading now 3 years later. I just think that'll be funny. So watch for a chapter by chapter video coming out. We can read it together. It's going to be like the first time. It'll be great. So yeah, that's all I had for you today. I just want you to know I am here. I am not dead. My creativity might have taken a severe blow in the last couple years, but it is coming back to life. And now it is up to me to continue to cultivate and water that creativity to make sure that it is growing in a healthy manner. And that is what this period of my life is. 2024 to 2025 is my cultivating era, and I'm all here for it. And I hope that you'll come along with me for the ride. I'll see you very soon. Bye.